This video may be triggering to some of you as a fair warning, which is exactly why I needed to make it. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ben. I make educational lifting videos, and today I want to answer this question of when do you work on mobility? And this question, by the way, was something that was prompted by a previous video I made, okay? So in the previous video, I'll be really quick with the summary. I was talking about warm-ups, and I was talking about how when I do split squats, the warm-up, the only warm-up that I do prior to that exercise, because it's my first exercise of the day, is lighter split squats. So people find this surprising. People find this astounding. People think to themselves, how could that be, Ben? How could you use the exercise that you're about to do at lighter weights as a warm-up for the exercise you're about to do? I mean, when you say it out loud, it seems a little silly, right? Like if you're gonna do bench press and your top set is at 255 pounds, whatever, why would it be problematic for you to grab an empty bar and start doing reps, right? Why would you assume that you would need to essentially band-aid yourself with all other kinds of different activities, rotator cuff drills, overhead stretches? Why would you assume that you need to do that? Have you ever tried not to do that? I mean, have you ever just maybe took more warm-up sets with the empty bar? Have you ever moved more slowly? Have you ever just taken more warm-up sets with lighter weights, right? Have you considered the fact that if you can't do an exercise as a warm-up for itself, that might be actually an indication of something problematic with an exercise? Those are all questions I think to consider, but really what I said in response to this was that all of my exercises train mobility, right? This concept is for some reason like kind of taboo. Like when people talk about training mobility, it rarely seems to come up that training mobility can simply be integrated as a quality with all of the exercises you're already doing. And I mean, don't you think that could be the best case scenario, like where you actually don't need to do these non-specific, non-related mobility drills before you do your actual exercises? Like, I mean, think about what a mobility goal actually really is. A mobility goal is I want to be able to move into and out of this position. Maybe my arms are overhead, maybe my leg gets behind my back, maybe I touch my toes. I want to be able to do that with comfort and strength and resilience. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what easier way is there to create more comfort and resilience into and out of a position than using load, right? Than using the advantages of machines and cables and free weights and all the things we have access to in the gym that are these beautiful implements to allow us to achieve these positions, right? So if someone is struggling with a toe touch, right, I could help them with that movement in a variety of different ways. I could put a bar in their hands and allow them to do a Jefferson curl. I could put dumbbells in their hand and allow them to do the same. I could even do the opposite. I could reverse the load direction to challenge them pulling themselves into that position. I could have them hold a rope or a cable in their hand and have them reach down to the ground while they're resisting a load that is upward. If someone wanted to be able to get overhead, I could have them perform Y raises with a cable or overhead raises with a dumbbell. I could have them do an overhead press. If they couldn't comfortably get into that overhead position, well, I could try to get them there in a variety of ways. Maybe I would have them do a pull down, but instead of starting overhead, I would angle the cable kind of at this diagonal and up angle. And then over time, I would angle the cable more and more and more up here so that they could comfortably move themselves into that position over time with, you know, proper graded exposure. So I take the perspective that all exercises train mobility. It's built into the fabric of every exercise that you do, and the positions that you want to become more mobile in, you should figure out how to load and train rather than treating it as some sort of separate quality. I mean, think about one more side of this argument in my favor, which is if you really want to create an adaptation, do you really think it's going to be easier to do with tons of load and challenge, or do you think it's going to be easier to do with no load and just long bouts of time dedicated to specific positions? Like if I wanted to stretch my hip flexors, yeah, I could just sit down and do a couch stretch, and sometimes I do that when I've been sitting for a while. There's nothing wrong with it. But why wouldn't I just want to do a split squat, for instance, so that I could actually become strong and robust into and out of that position? Not to mention the fact that you're also actually increasing the strength and the tension capability in your connective tissues in those positions as well when you're doing that. So it's just so many things to me can be solved for inappropriate exercise selection and execution, and the ability to become more mobile to me largely relates, in my experience long term, to the ability just to pick the exercises that feel good for you, that feel appropriate for your body at a given time, at a given stage, and then to progress the challenge of those exercises in terms of the range that you're using over time if that's part of your goal. Now, I'll separate this conversation completely from the notion that mobility training is bad. I don't think mobility training is bad at all. If you want to sit on the ground and do your hip cars and your stretches and all that, I think that's perfectly fine as long as you know that this could be achieved potentially in other ways. If that's just something you enjoy, you find it relaxing, you find it calming, you like the way it feels, go ahead. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And again, as I mentioned, I do it sometimes. But overall, this notion that mobility can even be separated from training in the first place, I think it's a false notion. I think it's a wrong assumption. And I would hope that all of you can question that and start to figure out ways that you can actually integrate mobility with your actual training to not only be able to get into those positions, but then to make those positions strong throughout actually a range of control in different joint positions and different loading directions. So what I really mean to say is, if you have mobility goals, find a way to load them, because to me, that's the best way to do it. It's the most efficient way to do it. And you don't have to spend your time doing other things if that is something that you are setting up appropriately for yourself. So I hope that helps. I hope this video was helpful. If you want to learn more from me, ask me more questions. A bunch of questions, a bunch of videos that I get inspired to do come from people in my free community now. And yes, it's totally free. You can join at the links below. And if you have challenges to anything I've said in this video, please drop a comment or just get into my private community and ask me there, because I respond to everything there as well. So I'll see you all in the next one.